You know, I've had individuals in my life that I've been blessed with who have been mentors in my life. Individuals that have just made a key investment in my life. And I've been so blessed. This black chair, black recliner, embodies one such individual for me. Back when I was being raised, my grandpa Ira was a farmer. I always saw him wear the old bib overalls in Central Illinois. He always drove International Harvester tractors. I've got a bunch of them in my office. Reminds me of a key mentor in my life that had made a key contribution to who I am today. Without him, I would not be preaching to you today and sharing my love of Christ, because it started with a guy who sat in an old black chair. Old black chair in Central Illinois, old farm, drafty farmhouse, white and green shutters and green shingles and green everything. Old Grandpa Ira would sit in the old black chair and in the old green carpet and a red Davenport. That's a couch, for those of you who don't know what that is. And over in the living room, there was like an old Indianapolis 500 in the old farmhouse. We'd run around in circles, around the old farmhouse. And Grandpa knew that, and so he would sit in the old black chair, and he had it positioned so as it hid the stairs behind him to go upstairs. But over here was the old furnace that he put his leg on, big old leg on, and then he put his other leg on the old red Davenport. And so us kids, we'd run around the house, and we'd get stuck in the living room because he was doing this on both things, and we would run into him, and he would shake us like this, and we would go, "Grandma, Grandma," and she'd say one word, "Ira," and he'd stop and let us go. We didn't want it to stop, so we'd run around again. We'd go back around, and he'd get us, and he'd shake us like this in the old black chair. I'd ride with him to church. It was long before the days of, the old kids' seats. I'd ride with him in the middle, and Grandpa was over here on the right driving to church, and Grandma was over here on the right, and we'd go to church singing songs, and I saw my grandpa leading and serving communion and offering, and all the people coming over to our grandpa's house in the farm, and what a marvelous man. My grandpa accepted Christ one day, and as did my father. That's my dad when he graduated from Lincoln Christian University years ago. And my grandmother, if you look closely, you'll see my grandmother's face is a little disfigured because when she was born, the doctor disfigured her face. But we never knew. Grandpa loved her she was a marvelous woman of God. And my grandpa and my dad accepted Christ the same day in the Christian church back in Bill Grove, Illinois. Because my grandpa had a relationship with Christ, my dad had a relationship with Christ, and now this old black chair reminds me that my grandpa had a relationship with Christ. He passed it on to my father. My father has passed it on to me, and I passed on my relationship to my kids. It all started because a gentleman who sat in an old black chair in an old drafty farmhouse, we'd run in and we'd, "Grandpa!" It affects us, doesn't it? So who sits in your old black chair in your life? Who's a mentor for you? There are some individuals, some kids out there who need somebody to sit in the old black chair for them. So be that person. Be that parent. Be that grandparent. Because we need individuals who will step up and partner with parents because the next generation of believers depend upon us today. Amen?